Problem is simple. India has 1/5 of the world's population and 1/30 of its energy. And in practice, what that means is about 400 million people have no access to energy in India. Now, there have been a lot of piecemeal and stopgap solutions like solar lanterns, small rooftop solar systems, micro hydel, small wind turbines and so on, none of which really have addressed the problem in an effective manner. What we have finally arrived at is a solution that we call micropower, which is small-scale renewable-based energy plants, power plants, and we use renewable sources to power these power plants. Now, from these power plants, we have two ways of distributing energy. One is packaged power, like products like lanterns, little power boxes, and other appliances which we charge and then distribute physically. And the other approach, which really is the long-term solution to the problem, is by building a mini-grid. What is a grid? It's basically an interconnected distribution network, which is exactly what we're building. So the end result is that every home in the end has a wire with energy, which we can then apply various business models. You could have a pay-as-you-go, you could have a pay-as-you-go prepaid model. It could be a simple electric meter where you pay depending on how much energy you've consumed, etc., etc.
Okay, so we are now inside the micro power plant, and above me we are actually in the shade of the solar panels, which right now actually are getting very good sun because it's a bright day and a fairly clear one, and they must be producing a lot of energy right now. This is a 36 kilowatt power plant, and we have about 150 kilowatt hours of storage down there in this particular plant. We have a telecom tower that we service as we go along. If you come here, you can see that one is the tower that we power right now. And we also have, everybody asks me this question about solar, what happens when it's raining for a few days continuously, which it does here, the monsoon, and what happens when it is foggy in the winters. We have a DG set which we use for backup. We, by design, only use it for about an hour a day, and hopefully when we have a lot more solar panels installed, we will not use the DG at all some point. So why are mini grids more effective at solving the power problem for especially for remote communities than, say, extending the existing grid into the rural areas?
If you look at the grid as we know it today, the architecture of the electricity grid anywhere in any country really is, comprises three separate parts. One is the part which generates the energy. The other part is the unit which actually transports the energy to where it's needed. And then finally you have the distribution network. Now these are the three different components of the grid. And the problem with this is that the losses are very, very high. And with that, typically, if you take India as an example, more than a third of the energy which is generated is lost in transmission. So if you generate 100 units of energy, about 65, 66 of those finally reach the end consumer. Now, with the mini-grid approach, since you're co-locating the power plant with the consumer, literally, right next door to the consumer, you actually remove the most lossy component in here, which is the transmission network. So this makes a lot of sense when you're using expensive energy sources like renewable energy, because you want to waste as little energy as possible. You want all that valuable energy to reach the consumer.
तो ये हमारा बैटरी बैंक है जिसमें सोलर की बिजली से जो भी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आती है बैटरी को चार्ज कर देती है और ये बैटरी को चार्ज सोलर पैनल से यहाँ आता है ना, अपने एमपीपीटी में आता है। हाँ, इसमें आता है, सोलर पैनल से इधर आता है। हाँ, यहाँ से बैटरी में जाता है। ठीक है, कस्टमर को यहाँ से जाती है, अपना एलटी पैनल है। हाँ, तो यहाँ से आती है एलटी पैनल। ये सारे अपने कस्टमर के मीटर है। ये मीटर किसका है? ये भारती का है। अच्छा, और ये मीटर किसका है? ये पेट्रोल पंप का मीटर है। अच्छा, तो हम वहाँ भी जाके आए थे। और ये मीटर किसका है? ये तो पुरानी लाइट। अच्छा, ये लोकल का है सर। ये लोकल का है। वो कॉलेज का मीटर है अलग से? ये कॉलेज का मीटर है।
Energy poverty, that is not having access to energy or not having access to enough energy, is probably the biggest cause or the root cause of poverty itself. Now, if you're denied access to energy, you're also denied a full membership of society as we define it today. You don't have access to some of the most basic services that the rest of the world, or the urban population takes for granted. You can't flick a switch to put on a light. There are certainly no appliances. In most cases, you don't have access to running water, let alone hot water. Sanitation becomes a huge problem, etc., etc. So, just introducing even a small amount of energy into a household has very, very profound consequences.
So as you can see, what we are building here is a mini grid. We have the telecom loads, we have the commercial loads, we have the educational institutions, and we have the homes where we are running cable into the community, and from little distribution boxes near people's homes, we are distributing it directly into people's homes. And these are places, in most cases, where there has never been wiring inside the house. So our technicians actually end up installing wiring inside the house, internal wiring, when we give them an electric connection. For the first time in their lives, they see a wire inside their house and a switch that they can press and have light.